I'm Anna of all trades, and today I'm going to tell you about how a few friends and I took 2 days to completely transform this space by building a new deck. I would love to give a huge shout out to Diablo for sponsoring this video. Let's get started.
I get my hands dirty, they show me no mercy, so I just keep working.
When we bought this place 4 years ago, the deck was already in really rough shape, but because it worked, it wasn't a huge priority to fix it. That is until last year when April came to build the tiny house and was like, we really need to fix this deck. Day one involved a ton of demo. When we started tearing off the top decking boards, we actually realized that the structure underneath that was made mostly of steel and treated lumber was actually still in fantastic shape. So we were going to be able to reuse it, which would save us a ton of time, money, and effort. During the demo process, we used Diablo carbide tip general purpose blades for the reciprocating saw. They are inexpensive, widely available, and outlast their competitors. I'm thankful that I get to partner with a company like Diablo because even if they weren't sponsoring my videos, I'd still be using their products. To fix the major tripping hazard that was the step down in front of the pizza oven, we just needed to raise that section up by a few inches. So we pulled a string line and then sistered a few boards onto the existing frame to raise that section up. Because of all the prep work that had been done, putting down the new boards went extremely fast. We left the boards long so we could cut them all flush at once after we'd secured them to the frame. While Erik and April worked on building a step-up entry into the shop, by the way, if you haven't already seen April's video, make sure you go check that one out. I built the wood storage area for the pizza oven. For all the little cuts in this section, I used a circular saw with a Diablo 24-tooth framing saw blade. It's got a thin kerf for fast, clean cuts, and these carbide tip blades last forever. I also chopped up some wood to store underneath it, both for usefulness and aesthetic purposes. April says that we could have gotten the deck done in 1 day if we hadn't wasted so much time petting my animals and eating watermelon, so I'm going to include the afternoon that Isaac and I spent building this bench and that little step over there into the 2-day build time. So this little frame here gives us a nice visual as to where the benches will go. We want the corner of the bench to come in as a nice miter. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna set the saw to a 45-degree cut, and then we're going to cut them to rough length, leaving a couple of extra inches so that when we actually nail it all down, we can then pop a string line and get a nice straight cut. We don't have to worry about perfectly placing and cutting all of our miters absolutely perfectly. And that's just basically a time-saving thing. Now these mitered pieces can fit together on top of our little frame here. The nice thing about leaving these boards long is that A, we get to reuse a bunch of drops from actually making our deck, but also we can situate our miters, we can move things back and forth here, get things all set up down on the opposite side of the thing, and then we'll just go boop, and cut those off, and it'll leave a nice straight perfect line. So here's the basic structure for the bench that's going to be here on the deck. Ideally, we would have built this into the actual structure of the deck, but because we are building on top of an old structure, there was no way that we could really do that and keep this part of the deck structurally sound. So what we're gonna do is we're just gonna actually build a floating bench and then attach it directly to the deck top. Here we've got some structural components. This is a pretty strong corner and it will stand up to a lot of abuse. So one way that we can reinforce that is by creating these little braces. These are just 2x4s with 45-degree angles cut on them. We'll attach them, and then we'll also attach the deck boards to them as well. We're gonna put some screws in these little undercarriage support things. They're 16 on center, which will give a lot of added rigidity to this thing. And then we're going to set the whole thing up on these 4x4 legs. So the last piece of this is these little haunches here, and they're gonna sit right over here, and this is gonna support the back part of the bench. And All it needs is a nice little... And then to keep these two together, we're just gonna do a quick toenail. Yes! Yes! And a lift. There we go. Come my way. Yes. Got a nice straight edge. Hook it up there. We're gonna just run a quick line and it's gonna look fresh. One thing that really surprised me about this build was just how easy it was. The deck really needed to get replaced 4 years ago, but I assumed it was a much larger scale project than it actually was. As it turned out, it was a project done over the span of a weekend with about $2,000 in treated lumber, using a handful of tools that improved the safety and aesthetics of our backyard immensely. I would call that a massive win, and I got to hang out with some of my very best friends in the process. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. I would love to give a huge thank you to April, Erik, and Isaac for helping me build this new deck, and for Diablo for sponsoring me and making videos like this possible. I hope you leave this video feeling challenged, inspired, and excited to get outside and to do things with your own hands as well. Cheers. We got the main part of the deck done in 2 days, just in time to... Ow! What the heck, dude? Come on, Oliver. Ah! It's all falling apart. It's all falling apart.